You don't need a $10,000 sleep study to fix 80% of your sleep. You need a feedback loop. Because most people aren't bad sleepers, they're bad sleep detectives. Tonight, we're going to help you build a DIY sleep lab at home in 1 week. HRV, light, temperature, timing. No guessing, no arguing with your pillow, and no, I tried magnesium once so I'm basically cured. And stay with us, because the best part is the 7-night framework. You'll run simple experiments, find your biggest levers fast, and build a personal playbook you can repeat for years. Let's turn your bedroom into a biology chamber, in a normal, non-serial killer way. First, what is a DIY sleep lab? It's tight feedback loops, inputs you control, light, temperature, timing, pre-bed routine. Outputs you track, sleep continuity, next day function, and a few physiological signals like sleeping heart rate and HRV trend. The viral angle is simple. Stop arguing with your sleep. Run experiments. But here's the trap. If you track everything, you'll learn nothing. So we're going to pick 2 or 3 outcomes that matter, and ignore the rest. Your night metrics, objective-ish, are these. Total sleep time, sleep onset latency, meaning how long it takes you to fall asleep. Wake after sleep onset, plus number of awakenings. Resting heart rate during sleep, and HRV as a trend. Optional bonus metrics if your wearable has them, respiratory rate and SpO2. Then your morning metrics. Because sleep isn't just what your wearable claims you did. Sleep is whether you feel human the next day. Rate these from 1 to 10, rested, midday sleepiness, mood or irritability, workout readiness. And one binary metric we love because it tells the truth. Did you require caffeine before noon, yes or no, and how much? Now a crucial point. Sleep duration matters. But regularity, your timing, may be the sleeper metric most people ignore, and it's strongly associated with long-term outcomes in big population studies. Translation: if your bedtime and wake time swing like a toddler's mood, your biology pays for it later. So in this lab, we treat timing like the anchor. Next, the wearable reality check. Consumer wearables are generally decent at sleep versus wake, but sleep stage accuracy is mixed, varies by device, and changes when the algorithm updates. So use wearables for trends and within-you comparisons, not as a medical diagnosis. Same device, same wrist or finger, same settings, same routine. That's how you get signal. Now HRV, because HRV makes people either obsessed or confused. HRV is the variation between heartbeats, and it's often interpreted as a marker of autonomic balance and recovery. In real life, HRV often drops with stress, illness, heavy training load, poor sleep, and dehydration. And one of the biggest gotchas is alcohol. Alcohol can make your sleep look okay on stages, but still raise sleeping heart rate and reduce recovery. So if HRV tanks and your sleeping heart rate rises, don't panic. Just check the usual suspects: sleep debt, illness, alcohol, training load, late light, late heat, late meal. Practical HRV rules. Compare you to you, not you to the influencer who never eats after 4 p.m. and definitely isn't lying. Look at a 7-day rolling average, or at least 3 nights. Pair HRV with sleeping heart rate and how you feel. One number never gets to be the judge, jury, and executioner of your day. Now the big 4 levers. These are the knobs that matter most, and they're shockingly unsexy. Which is why they work. Lever number 1 is timing and regularity. If you fix nothing else, fix wake time first. Pick a wake time you can keep most days, including weekends. Then back calculate bedtime to allow at least 7 hours of sleep opportunity. Not 7 hours of scrolling and 1 hour of sleep. 7 hours of actual opportunity. Lever number 2 is light. Light is the gas pedal and brake for your circadian clock. Morning and daytime light help your body know it's daytime, and can support healthier sleep timing. Evening bright light delays sleepiness and can push your melatonin later. So the simplest rule is this: bright mornings, dim evenings. Not perfect, consistent. If you want an extra lever, blue light reduction strategies can help some people, especially those with insomnia, but the evidence is mixed. Our take is simple: don't treat glasses like a magic spell. Treat them like a seatbelt. Helpful in the right context, but you still need to drive like an adult. Lever number 3 is temperature. Sleep is a cooling sport. Your core temperature drops at night, and cooler environments generally support sleep initiation and depth. Most people do better in a cool room, and the sweet spot often lands somewhere around the mid-60s Fahrenheit, but you should experiment within comfort. The goal is not to freeze. The goal is to stop heat from bullying your sleep. Here's the counterintuitive cheat code. A warm shower or bath 1 to 2 hours before bed. Not at lights out. 1 to 2 hours before. It warms the body, then your body dumps heat afterward, which helps core temperature drop at bedtime. That drop is a sleep signal. Lever number 4 is CBT-I principles, especially if sleep has been chronically bad. CBT-I is considered first line for chronic insomnia. Not gadgets, not supplements, not desperate bedtime negotiations. If you've been struggling for months and it's impairing life, CBT-I is worth pursuing. Even if you still use wearables, the behavior and cognition work is the foundation. Now, the DIY Sleep Lab. 7 nights. Simple, and you'll learn more in 1 week than most people learn in 5 years of random sleep hacks. Before night 1, do a setup day. Night 0 is not a lab night. It's your clipboard. In a notes app, create your sleep lab sheet. Bedtime, lights out, wake time. Caffeine cutoff time and dose. Alcohol yes or no, and how much. Training hard, moderate, or none. Last meal time, room temperature, plus, felt hot or cold, from 1 to 10. Evening light plan, bright, dim, screens late, screens early. Then the next morning, record, rested score, wearable summary, sleeping heart rate, HRV trend, and your next day metrics. This is where you become dangerous, in a good way. Nights 1 and 2 are baseline. Do not make heroic changes. Eat normally, train normally, keep caffeine typical. We're capturing your real sleep, not your presentation for the sensor. You're looking for patterns. Is your wake time drifting? Is your sleeping heart rate elevated? Is HRV volatile? Do you feel tired even with enough time in bed? Baseline tells you where the leak is. Nights 3 and 4 are the light experiment. Morning, get outdoor light soon after waking. Even 10 to 20 minutes helps, and more is often better, especially on darker days. Evening, 2 to 3 hours before bed, lower indoor brightness. Reduce overhead LEDs. Use warmer lights, lamps, or dimmers. And if screens are your love language, use dim settings and avoid intense, stressful content right before bed. No doom scrolling. No, just one more email. Your brain treats that like a tiger attack. Measure your outcomes. Did you fall asleep faster? Did awakenings drop? Did next day sleepiness improve? Did your sleeping heart rate calm down? Did HRV stabilize? If light changes do nothing, don't worry. We're not married to any one lever. We're dating the truth. Night 5 is temperature night. Cool the room toward your best guess. If you can, track the temperature with a cheap thermometer. Then do the warm shower or bath 1 to 2 hours before bed. Not scalding, just warm. Then measure sleep onset, awakenings, felt hot, sleep efficiency if you have it, and sleeping heart rate. If you wake up less and your sleeping heart rate drops, you just found a high ROI lever. Night 6 is the timing lock. Pick a fixed wake time you can keep. Set bedtime to allow at least 7 hours opportunity. Then set an alarm that signals the start of your wind down routine, not just the morning panic. Your nervous system loves cues. If you start wind down at the same time, you train your body to expect sleep. Like a dog hearing a treat bag, but hopefully with more dignity. Night 7 is the best combo repeat. Take the best performing setup from nights 3 to 6 and repeat it exactly. Same light plan, same temperature plan, same timing plan, same dinner timing if possible. If improvement shows up twice, it's probably real. If it vanishes, it may have been random, or you changed a hidden variable like stress, training load, or alcohol. Now, how do you read results? Simple decision tree. If you fall asleep faster, light and temperature are strong suspects. If awakenings improved but falling asleep didn't, look at temperature, alcohol, late meals, and stress load. If sleeping heart rate dropped, that's often a recovery clue. If HRV improved but you still feel terrible, remember HRV is not a full sleep report card. Look at total sleep time, awakenings, and daytime sleepiness. If fatigue is persistent and you snore, gasp, or have high daytime sleepiness, consider sleep-disordered breathing and get evaluated. That is not a DIY project. If nothing changed after 7 nights, don't despair. It often means the biggest lever is behavioral or cognitive, classic insomnia loops, or a medical issue that needs evaluation. That's where CBT-I and a clinician become your next best move. Because the lab is here to guide you, not shame you. Okay, what's the bottom line? Your bedroom is a biology chamber. Light sets the clock, temperature sets the depth, timing sets the rhythm, and HRV plus sleeping heart rate tells you if your body actually recovered. You don't need perfection, you need repeatable wins. If you found this useful, tap like, subscribe, and share it with someone who thinks sleep is just a mindset. Check the description for the tools we mentioned, plus our longevity compass book on Amazon KDP. That book supports the channel and gives you the full framework to build a longer, stronger, healthier life, without drowning in gimmicks. And now you have your DIY sleep lab. 1 week, 1 playbook, and a nervous system that finally gets the memo.